Okay, first I'm going to talk about rebellion and conflict here following our discussion on the slavery and the impact of slaves we talked about in our last video. So the Stoner Rebellion was the largest slave uprising in the colonies at that time. There were strict laws for slaves, but some of the slaves did learn to read and write. And one of those, which is what this word literate means, that means you can read and write. And the slave's name was Jimmy, and he organized this big rebellion against plantation owners. They hoped to arm themselves and escape the freedom in Spanish Florida. Essentially, if a slave escaped and they made it to Spanish Florida, they were free. It began when Jimmy and these other slaves broke into a store on what was called the Stono River, and they killed 2 settlers. They used their drums, and they summoned more slaves to help join the rebellion. So the colonists form a militia, and they fight in the biggest slave uprising in the colonies. All the slaves were either caught or killed, and there were at least 35 slaves killed, and 25 colonists killed. So what this does is, and here's just kind of a picture, but what this does is it leads to the slave codes, even more restrictive laws. So in response to the Stono Rebellion, the colonial government passed a series of laws designed to control the slave population. They could not travel without a written pass from their master. They were not allowed to learn to read or write. They could not dress above the condition of slaves. They could not gather in groups. They could not raise their own food. They could not earn money. In addition, slaves could not get their freedom without permission from the government. So, excuse me, we are not going to talk about the French anymore right here. I'm going to talk about this a little later. But I did want to show you this map here. So we're going to get into kind of some shifts you can kind of see here with this proclamation. We're going to have another rebellion, but these are all going to be related to Native Americans, okay? So not only are they dealing with the rebellion of slaves, they are going to deal with the rebellion from the natives as well. And again, we're going to start really kind of having these issues hinting at the Revolutionary War.